Welcome to this video where I'll be taking you through the first few basic steps on how to produce rendered images using markers. As you can see here, what we've got are some designs for toy cars, toy remote control cars that have been rendered up using markers and a little bit of pencil here and there. So if you are familiar with any of the previous videos, it will come as no surprise to you that the first thing I'm going to say to do is to create an underlay. So an underlay is where you draw out the objects you want to render first, and then you can use pens or dark lines or so on to make them stand out. It allows you to make mistakes, iterate, and then when you come to render, you can attempt to render the same object by placing another sheet of paper over the top and then rendering that object, and you can do it multiple times without destroying the original drawing. You can also do the same thing by simply photocopying it. So if you're at college or school, or you happen to have a scanner and a printer at home, you can always take an image, scan it, photograph it, whatever you want, and then you've got a backup that you can print out later on and do the rendering if for some reason you need to render on top of the original image to start with. So once you've got your underlay sorted out, you can then take this. Now this is not normal photocopier paper. This is what we refer to as marker paper, which you can see here. Yep, marker pad. It's got a specific, one sec, here we go. Specific properties, a certain thickness, so 70 GSM. But what it does is it doesn't absorb the ink as quickly. It allows the ink to sit on the surface and to remain wet because it's alcohol spirit based. It allows it to sit there for longer so that you can actually blend it. This has a beneficial property of allowing you to take your time to work out what you're doing, but it also has a negative side effect that sometimes if you're in a rush, you can accidentally contaminate some of the lighter colours with darker colours and so on. Or as you're working, you don't realise that it hasn't fully dried and you can bleed into things. Sometimes it's a desirable effect, but most of the time it's not. So as I said, underlays are important, paper type. You also need to create a test sheet. Now as you saw on my example sheet, what I was doing whilst I was rendering this was I was just using this piece of paper to test the pens before I started. But having thought about it a little more, making a contact sheet makes a lot more sense. What you can do there is you can put on the number or name of each of your pens. You can see what each colour looks like when you've used it. You can even do contact sheets where you overlap them so you can see what the colour combinations are. Whatever works for you. But as you can see now, I can just look at that sheet and decide, oh, I need a grey, but I don't want it to be super light, so I'm going to work my way along. So those are well worth having, but you will still probably need a small extra sheet or a spare space on your sheet to just test the pens before you start if you're not sure whether or not they have been drying out in the period between when you last used them. First thing you want to do is very much like when we were rendering it with pencils. You want to lay on your lightest tone first. So what we're going to do here is we're going to attempt to render this object. This is a remote control for these remote control cars. We're going to attempt to render this object, and we're going to do it in yellow. So I'm going to look at my contact sheet and decide, right, what's the lightest yellow I want to use? Probably 102. So we get that out of our container. And what I'm going to do here is, you can, if you wish, use a pencil to go over the lines, be super light. We're going to go over it in black afterwards anyway, so that can work to your favour. But one of the problems is if you start sketching it and having lines coming across, what will often happen is they will show up underneath your rendering and spoil it. So what we want you to do is to get into the habit of trying to render over your underlay but without using any lines. The way we do that is by starting off with our pen, and we're going to just try and follow the outline and get this blocked in. Now it's going to look very light. One of the things about using marker pens is your first pass will be very light, and every time you go over the top it will change. Now one of the things you'll see here is this isn't coming out the way it's supposed to because I've got the paper the wrong way up. This paper I'm using has two very different sides. This side, it's got this bobbly effect on there. So I'm going to turn it over, start again, Again, that's part of paying attention. There we go. So it's going on much more like I expected it to this time. Now, your paper choice is really important. If you try and use something like cartridge paper or something that's really porous and doesn't have a really sort of grease-proof papery-like finish, then what you'll probably find is that it just absorbs all your pen, all the ink straight out your pen, and it doesn't stay wet long enough for you to blend anything, and it's just an absolute nightmare. So test your papers first, and also make sure that you are researching what type of finish the paper has and whether or not it is appropriate for marker pens. Now, a lot of the tutorials you'll see online, people just work in notepads. That's fine, they've tested it and it gives them the effect they want. But if you are someone who likes your ink to stay wet for longer, I recommend that you invest in marker paper. So here, as you can see, what I've got is just this very simple block-in colour, and so now I can start working on the darker tones. So I come back to my sheet and I start looking at 120 is probably a darker tone, 124, so I can put those into the shadows. So now that I've got the rough shape, what I can do is I can put in some normal photocopier paper underneath to just work on this. Now I've actually found that this isn't a problem working on here. I've already done these a couple of times. So you will see the advice being that put a couple of sheets of just normal paper underneath in case your markers go all the way through. So now what I'm looking for is 120. So what I do is I think about where the light's going to come in from. We normally say that the light's coming in from the top left hand side, so over our left shoulder. So now this is going to be the darkest area here. So I can darken that part. Now don't worry if these come in really stark really stark at the start, because we're going to blend them in later on. What we want to do is just block this in for now, and then we'll blend it in a bit. Hopefully you can see what we're doing here. So we've got that, and then we grab our original colour, and then we go over the top. Start blending it in. Now how stark you want it is down to you, but as we said, whilst they're wet, it's easier to blend these in. And go over the top. Now, as I said earlier, one thing you can find is that the felt nibs on your markers will become slightly contaminated over time. That's where you want to be working with scrap pieces of paper, but also just understand that these are investments for a long time, and you may need to get replacement parts. You can get refills, you can get replacement nibs for some of them. The more expensive ones, and we'll discuss that later, can get quite costly if you have to replace them. One sec, I'm just trying to find another pen. Here it is, 1, 2, 4. And so taking care of them by not using them on darker colours, so starting with the lighter colours and then doing the darker ones later, can really save you money in the long run. But these pens I'm using are about 10 years old, so that shows you just how long these can last if you keep the lids on, if you store them so that the ink inside is running into the nib. So when you store them, don't store them standing up, because otherwise this top section, the air inside, is going to dry the nib out. All the ink's down here, it's trying to force its way up, but it can't. If you store them horizontally or even at a slight angle or in a box that's on its side, you'll find that the nib will stay moist, wet, whatever phrase you want to use, and then it will last you a lot longer. Now this has all turned a bit green on me, so what I'm going to do is take a bright yellow, so look back here, I'm going to take this 106 and give it an overlay, or a wash, so to speak. So this is a little bit like watercolours, if you're any good at watercolour, and we're just going to give it the whole thing a yellowing up, if that makes sense. I want the whole thing to go a bit more yellow. And the reason I didn't start with this colour was because once you go in with a sort of very strong hue, it's very difficult for you to come back. Whereas if I started with the other one and went, right, I needed to make it a bit more vibrant yellow, that'll do. It's still a bit darker and greeny than I wanted, which is probably because I used yellow, green and beryllium yellow, but at the moment I am slightly restricted in the amount of choices I've got. So you can see I've got that part now. What I'm going to do is put it back over my underlay and now do the trigger mechanism. So I'm going to do that in grey. So I'm going to look back at my sheet and say I want to do it in warm grey, so warm 1, 4, probably 1, 2, 1 to 4. Seems good. Start with those. So then we look into our bag and we find those colours. Excuse me while I rummage around. There's 2. I'll just start with this one for now. So laying it over the top, looking at where our parts are, and mark them in. Now, if there's any overlap, don't worry, because when we get around to doing the outlines, we can clean that all up. Here we go. So then all we need to do is find the next one, which should be warm 3 or 4. You don't have to go in exact numerical order, you can jump between them. Part of the importance of experimenting is learning what combinations you need. Whilst you're doing that, it's important to keep a kind of recipe book in the same way that you might keep a recipe book for cooking. You should keep a recipe book for how you create your colours if you're intending to do it over and over again. So the idea would be to keep that recipe book and then go back to it every time you need to do it again. Now I'm rushing this a lot because I don't want this video to run super long. So you've got an idea of what that looks like. I go back to my warm 2 and then try and blend those together a bit by using the original colour, making it darker between the transition points, and then that is our handle roughly done. So what we need to do now is move this out of the way, bring back our sheets that we were using to go underneath. What we now need to do is to add in the black lines. So we take a Fineliner. You can always use a normal pen, but I find Fineliners are best because they're designed for drawing. One of the things you need to remember, these are alcohol based markers. Therefore, if your pen, your Fineliner is alcohol based, it will bleed into the marker. If it's water based, because oil and water don't mix, if you allow the marker to dry, the Fineliner should not bleed into your marker lines. So if you're finding that things are bleeding into each other, that's because they're either wet and therefore the two liquids are just sort of overlapping even if they're repelling each other, or you've got the same type of fluid, i.e. oil, alcohol, so on top of each other. So just bear those things in mind. I know some of you are screaming, going, alcohol, oil, they're not the same thing. You get the idea. It's that basic premise of different substances not bleeding into each other. So that's the concept anyway. So now you can see it's really pulled it out. If you want to, you can always go around the outside with different colour Fineliners, different colour pens. You can also use pencils to blend them in. So if you want to, you can take a yellow pencil and try to blend these parts together to overlap. You can use pastels. Again, this is just a very quick introduction to how to do it. You can, of course, and this is the one really important thing, get a white edge, because if we're trying to render plastics, which is often one of the things we're going to use this for, then we need to have that stark white edge. You can use paints. You can just get acrylic paint and just paint a very thin line. You can get paint pens, so gel pens like these to use, or you can use pencils or pastels. So what I want here is to just create a lighter edge around this side. You might not be picking it up on the camera. It's very subtle on this one. and it just lightens that section. Now if I wanted to, I could go in with a pen and put a stark line in and so on. But that's the basics of how to do that. You can of course put in your thick thin line techniques, so edges where you are not seeing the two faces that make that edge. Put a thicker line in, play around with that, make sections stand out. And you can finish that all off. And then the final thing I wanted to show you was how to do these sort of colour backgrounds. So you can use greys, like here, where you go around the outside, or you can use complementary or contrasting colours to really make it stand out off the page. You can of course render metallics using the same technique we used with pencils, where we're just leaving these stark highlights going in, and you can render wood, similar process, do your grain direction and then mark the grain on. We might make another video showing you how to do that, but generally speaking, because we want this video to run short, we're going to run through the basic techniques and just show you again, just using this grey, that we can go around the outside, just follow the outside, just to make it stand off that white background. And I would even use a lighter colour than this. When you're doing this sort of technique, try to use a very light colour. As I said, complementary colours often work quite well. Super washed out pastel tones can work quite well, but even here this is standing out pretty well. And then you can go around the outside again, just super quick. You don't have to be too precious about these things. This is a good way to get some really stark, bold designs put together. Last thing to say is you can spend an absolute fortune on markers. So Copic markers retail somewhere in the region of like £12 each. But if you look on Amazon, there are markers like touch cool markers that for £27 you can get like 80 of the things. One thing I would say is look on YouTube for reviews of those markers before you spend any money on them, and if it seems like the sort of thing you would like to get into, then for less than the cost of a video game you can get a year or two's worth supply of markers that will allow you to produce interesting designs, even if it's just for a hobby, for doodling and so on. So very quick rundown again of all the things we covered. Use of underlays, the paper type, make sure you've got correct paper type, having test sheets and swatch sheets, layering your light tones to your dark tones, making sure you're starting with the lightest colours first, contamination of your tips, don't let them dry out and try not to let them overlap onto light to dark colours. Blending, if you want to blend it together, don't let the ink dry on the page, make sure you're working quickly, don't leave the lids off of your pens whilst you're working, get into the habit of putting the lids back on and off. Test your fine liners to make sure they don't bleed, remembering that alcohol and water-based fine liners and markers should be put in sort of contrast, so if you're using alcohol markers, try and get water-based pens and so on. Write down your stages as you're working, make a recipe book, using pencils, pens and paints for white streaks and lighter tones, but even using pencils to blend in some of your harsher marker work, and then making sure that you fully research the pens before you buy them, and you get to decide whether you want to invest a large amount of money in Copic or Copic markers or some of the cheaper alternatives. Thanks for watching.